It's a lounge pants and Dark Souls kind of day. Greetings and salutations, my beautiful people. I'm Caddicarus, and today we are going to be talking about the darling son of the PS1, the PS2. Released over 16 years ago, the best-selling console in the world to this date still. The first console that I personally ever started properly buying games for myself on when I was a kid. And the system I had to replace about 4 fucking times because the discs were never read properly. Fuck yeah! But when the PS2 did decide to work, it ended up processing some of the greatest games ever made. And there were so many great PS2 games, it was like a disease. It spread. It was disgusting. It was a plague of good games. So as you can imagine, picking only 20 choices for my favourite PS2 games was close to impossible, so I can't say much else than that, other than I will have some honourable mentions before I hit number 1. Please consider though that this is only my personal list, okay? Not his, not hers, not its. My personal list. And this isn't even going to be a list of the best reviewed games by critics or like the best mechanical or the deepest or longest or whatever the fuck. It's just going to be my personal favourite games on the PS2. And I'm just going to explain why they're indeed my favourites. And also, I haven't played every fucking game ever made, people, so please give me the break if I haven't played some classics, okay? And when I say that, I mean I haven't played Bully, I haven't played Okami, I haven't played Beyond Good and Evil, or any PS2 Final Fantasy game, or Psychonaut, and I only played about 10 minutes of GTA San Andreas. It wasn't really my thing, I'm sorry to tell people that, so there we go. Also, 1 game per franchise only. Let's kick this list off by rocking the fuck out with Guitar Hero 3, the Guitar Hero game that officially got me into the series, and the game that first ever convinced me to try working my way up to the expert difficulty on any game I'd played up to that point. And it also did well for my rhythmic cravings as a drummer, along with my coordination and speed. It's Parappa the Rapper on steroids with a real fucking guitar, and it's indescribably satisfying to get good at the game. Yeah, it was better on PS3, and honestly I prefer Rock Band. But damn it, I couldn't afford any of that shit at 13. So I played Guitar Hero 3 religiously for hours on PS2. And it also, to this day, has my favourite Guitar Hero soundtrack. There's so many great songs on this game. Anarchy in the UK, Barracuda, Bulls on Parade, Cliffs of Dover, Devil Went Down to Georgia, Hit Me With Your Best Shot, Holiday in Cambodia, Knights of Sidonia, Lagrange, The Number of the Beast, Paranoid, Sabotage, The Seeker, Suck My Kiss, Sunshine of Your Love, Welcome to the Jungle, When You Were Young, Ruby, She Bangs the Drums, and of course the master of all Guitar Hero tracks, Through the Fire and Flames. A fucking hilarious song in my opinion, and too ridiculously over the top to be taken even remotely seriously, but holy shit, the day I actually got past that intro and proceeded to beat the near 10-minute guitar jack off on expert with 81% completion was the day I decided I was a man. Number 19 belongs to another game I poured hours into on both PS2 and even PSP when I wasn't at home, Colin McRae Rally 2005. Rally games have always been my zen games, the games I play to get lost and absorbed with, and totally in the moment with reflexes around beautiful real-world scenery. Not necessarily too relaxed though, because of how punishing the games can be with your mistakes and how there is a huge learning curve with playing rally games in the first place. And it's this learning curve of off-road that I will always prefer over street racing games, and once I nailed it as a kid, I just loved playing these games and they really zenned me out. I felt one with rally games, and as for McRae 2005, I think it was the game that nailed the feeling of rally driving the best. The impeccable skill needed to drive with handbraking, going slow and speeding up at the exact moments needed, the feeling of tight hairpin corners on gravel and snow, the weight of the cars and the physics, the way that every terrain feels different and the wheels feel so connected with every inch of it realistically, the tracks and how memorable and expansive they were in both detail and the general amount of content. Everything this game did felt tight and perfect for rally games, and that was all matched beautifully with an awesome pit stop system to repair visible damage, customization for your car, and I just love Colin McRae, alright? Alright? It's the first time I ever cried at a celebrity death. Everyone at my school was into David Beckham and fucking... Look at him. Look at his fucking face. But dude, this guy was my idol. And so were his games. Especially this one. Rest in peace, man. Number 18 goes to Devil May Cry, originally a prototype for a Resident Evil game that ended up like this. Yeah, but it reveled in it. It was down to earth and cool, along with being over the top and utterly insane at the same time, and that's just the general game feel. The plot was fun, characters were fantastic fun, the visuals fucking masterful, despite the emphasis on action, the grandness and decrepitude of locations were dripping in atmosphere, and the gameplay brilliant. This was the game that taught me that if you can attack fast and shoot unlimited ammo pistols and rack up ridiculous combos, that doesn't mean the game has made you overpowered. When that first boss arrived, my pants were shat. Look at it. But I thought he would go down easily since I was so fast and so cool, as dumb Dante, yeah, but in the end it took me so many tries to get it just because I had to accept that overpowered attributes didn't apply the same way to every video game ever made, and DMC punished those not paying attention and playing it cocky. It felt great to play, combat was fluent and movement slick, it looked great, combos were incredible, guns were awesome, it was pretty damn hard, the music rocked, and those enemy designs were unforgettable. Just great on every level, a classic for hack and slash, and a great substitute before Bayonetta entered my life. Oh yeah, number 17 goes to a movie license game, because this game fucking deserves it. Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, I would actually argue was better than the movie it's based on and was released alongside with. I mean, the movie is great, but instead of just rehashing the plot and taking you through pointless set pieces established from the movie, you were a part of the universe of Harry Potter. Not part of the movie, not even part of the book, a living and breathing part of the universe. The amount of things to do in this game was insane, and it was, for the most part, totally open. You had Hogwarts all to yourself, free for you to roam around and speak to people, find secrets, collect the additional stuff, seek out side quests for bonuses, learn new spells, fly around the grounds on your fucking Nimbus, earn house points for Gryffindor that you'll constantly in rally with other houses against that are tallied and compared at the end of each term, and when you do things bad or fail in missions or whatever, you lose points and then gain points in other areas. And that's just talking about the optional stuff, but the main quest line was actually closer to the longer and more in-depth book than the movie was. Not a negative towards the movie in my opinion, but still, the facts are the facts. And it not only explored more stuff the movie didn't and let you play around with it, but it also provided imaginative gameplay, awesome puzzles, and just a fantastic experience overall. You could cast spells, and loads of different spells, and be a pot. A must-have game for Harry Potter fans, but hey, I'd recommend it just for video game fans in general. And those stealth sections literally emptied my bowels the first time I played this game. I never wanted to roam the grounds at night, those prefects were horrifying.
5 house points from Gryffindor.
And following straight from a great movie tie-in, another great movie tie-in, Spider-Man 2. But again, despite the movie being great, this game I would say was better than its source material, because it doesn't just follow the movie and linear set-piece bollocks to impress the kids like the first game did. Not that the first game was bad, but it's nowhere near as good as this one. Instead, this game goes way beyond. This was the first game I ever truly felt like a fucking superhero. Traveling the city with webs that actually needed buildings to latch onto was not only realistic, but thrilling. The bosses were all memorable and fun. Leveling up and fighting random crimes on the fly over a matter of seconds while on the way to your next destination was great. The pizza delivery missions had the best fucking music ever. And the detail of making you feel like a superhero even extended so brilliantly to missions where you're just swinging around going to your next destination, but then all of a sudden a kid will just randomly drop a balloon and you have to go and get it back for him. And if you win, then you're just thanked, nothing more than that. And if you lose, then you upset the kid. And it's just so cool, like you are a part of the city here. No problem is too small, no citizen insignificant. You feel the weight and responsibility of being Spider-Man. And all that while playing through a lengthy campaign with huge amounts of side things to do, with countless Spider-Man villains to fight, with tight controls, fun combat, and awesome web abilities. One of the best superhero games ever made, and why the devs of Amazing Spider-Man 2 spoke about that game as the first one ever to have free-form web swinging. How about you fuck off and shove your shitty game up your... Number 15 may upset many people because I feel totally alone with thinking this, but I personally think that Tony Hawk's American Wasteland was the best Tony Hawk game. Not just because I was a skater back in the day and the plot about a guy running away from his life because no one understands him really spoke to me, but because I found the level design to be the most memorable, most diverse, and the best with the ability to tell combos together seamlessly no matter where you went. I also thought the characters were the most enjoyable, and the gameplay was sick in it, bud. And you could even ride a BMX. Yeah, and it wasn't just a skin swap, it was part of the game with its own control scheme and challenges. How awesome is that? And the newer mechanics to string more combos and do more tricks together, such as removing loading screens entirely and having the entire gameplay as one huge level in itself, meaning you could start a combo at the beginning of the game and keep it going until the end of it, was ingenious. It felt like a true evolution of Tony Hawk. Ironically though, the name of this game should have been reserved for Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5, because look, this is a fucking American Wasteland if I've ever seen one. Yeah, people usually say Sly 2 is the best, but I'm afraid I must disagree. Sly 3 takes everything that made 2 a great game, but then does the one thing I felt 2 massively fucked up on in my opinion, improve the story and the characters. Yeah, the platforming, open levels, fantastically fun and varied missions based around not only action platforming and combat, but also speed, stealth, and using the environment to your advantage, sometimes all at once, and near perfect control were exactly as they were in Sly 2, but the story I found way more engaging and actually worth a damn to the characters. I found the dialogue and humor way tighter and less I don't know, arseholey, and the bosses had just the right amount of screen time, funny scenes, and threatening scenes to make them the best villains in the whole series. And the bosses themselves were fucking epic as well. Except the Mask of Dark Earth. It's a mask. Is scary. But yeah, if anything, I can just talk about the damn gameplay all day. Those thief sensibilities and how Sly locks on, bounces, and zips around the universe with the touch of a button, man, it felt so good. But we haven't got all day to talk about that. I did a video about it, actually, so there you go. Oh, and the multiple characters were very varied and fun to mess around with, and the vehicle stages were actually fun. Fun. They were fun. Fun. It basically gave me, as a Sly fan, the best overall Sly experience, in my opinion. And look at me, I'm a grown-ass man with raccoon 3D glasses staring at my TV like a wang. What have you done to me, Sly Cooper? Okay, so number 13 is a remake, yes, but after playing it for the first time very recently, in fact, I must admit, this is one of the best Tomb Raiders, nay, one of the best remakes I've ever played, and I'm sad I missed out on it after all this time. Yeah, the level design is very familiar, in fact, most of it is a direct copy, but like Resident Evil's remake, it doesn't mean everything works and happens in the same way. Secrets, traps, and surprises originally present in Tomb Raider 1 were vamped up, swapped, and changed, which honestly scared the shit out of me on more than one occasion when playing this game. The controls were tweaked to fucking perfection with proper third-person camera control and better running, jumping, and gunplay, which was all way tighter and more responsive, yet you couldn't still rush the platforming challenges. The atmosphere was back with a vengeance, the soundtrack nostalgic yet brand new all at the same time, and that's not even talking about the new and improved Croft Manor, which I spent over an hour on just because of how deviously designed it was, and it was a great precedence for how climbing, platforming, and puzzles worked in the main game, which all worked magnificently, by the way, and were way more brain-teasing and slow. The climbing sections, for instance, were like Uncharted, I guess, but every time you start climbing, you aren't just bouncing all over the cliffside. You need to think carefully and plan on everything you do. Your jumping distance isn't as ridiculous as Nathan Drake's, and you can feel the weight of Lara here. The stakes are higher than ever with health and checkpoints as well, and you need to pay attention whenever Lara starts slipping, or look very carefully around to which areas are exploitable to climb because it isn't immediately clear like in Uncharted. And after just getting through the caves, level 1, the secrets and the way they were implemented as both puzzles and platforming made me feel more like a Tomb Raider than ever before. I tell ya, even this secret towards the end of level 1 was so dastardly and brilliantly hidden, I was convinced something was there and you can't see anything, but I figured out how to get up there and wouldn't you know, there was something there. I mean, it was so fucking dastardly and brilliantly hidden, I applauded the game. On my own. In my pants. Crying. Number 5 goes to Tekken 12. No, number 12 goes to Tekken 5. It was such a close call between this and Tekken Tag, but I don't know. The more I play it now, the more sluggish Tekken Tag feels compared to Tekken 5. It's such a fast Tekken game, and it was and still is amazing to play today, rewarding those who learned and mastered the combo so ridiculously, not just from the damage, but also using them at the correct timing with the much speedier gameplay. Incredible visuals, unbelievable animations, the tightest combat, most ridiculously difficult yet satisfying combo strings, the best roster of characters, and I fucking adored the story modes of all the characters with the perfect amount of serious shit mixed in with some of the most self-aware and ridiculous nonsense I've ever seen in a video game. The best fighter on PS2 in my opinion, one of the best fighters I've ever played, period, and one that raised Tekken back to its glory days after Tekken 4 did a lot of, well, weird shit. A perfect example of doing a tiny bit less than the previous game, but refining and adding so much more flavor to make what you had absolutely perfect. And ever since this game, all other Tekken games have followed in its stead in some way or another. And that just goes to show how good this game was. Na 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 na. Number 11's Katamari Damacy. Dude, this soundtrack, it's like my favorite PS2 soundtrack ever. Dude, this gameplay, it's so unique, so clever, so hilarious, and so fun. Dude, this penis. Katamari Damacy is a weird game, one of the weirdest I've ever played, but it's so great at absorbing you into its world that you forget how weird everything is that you're looking at and just roll with it. I am fucking funny. Literally though, you roll a sticky ball around and pick shit up with it. Anything, from random rubbish on the floor to fucking humans. But you can't go too crazy since some areas require you only collect cold things or sharp things, etc. And your score can diminish if you collect too much of the opposite, so there is that element of strategy. And the physics were so cool with how great it felt to pick up speed and fly away, destroying the planet yet picking things up into a smothering ball of hell spawn as you cheerfully sing along to J-pop bliss. It's a puzzle-up, it's an action game, it's a platformer, it's a funny art style with so many variations of particular stages and diversely colored other stages indoors and outdoors. It's a game where you roll up entire countries. It's one of a kind. It's Katamari. And it's a big dick. And there you have it, everyone. My top 20 to 11 favorite PS2 games ever made. So sorry to cut this video short, but The script for this video was getting unbelievably long if I was going to do a massive top 20 video. The videos were going to be way too long, and this week for me has been far too busy for me to even consider having this video finished within a week. So sorry about that, but stay tuned for next week when we'll be counting down my top 10 to number 1, along with my honourable mentions, of course. And before I go today, I'd like to thank the sponsors for today's video, chrono.gg, where if you go to chrono.gg/caddy right below in the description, you'll see that every day, every 24 hours, a new great game goes up on the site for sale at the most ridiculous price ever. Tons of great games have gone up in the past, some of my favourites in years as a matter of fact, and instead of outright telling you guys what's for sale right now as this video airs, I'll just ask for you to go and have a look in the link. And I guess that makes more sense anyway, because it changes every day anyway, so by the time you see this video it might not even be the one I say. But anyway, if you bookmark chrono.gg/caddy, you'll be able to check every day for the next incredible deal, and everything you do buy from the site helps support this channel directly and helps keep the 3 video per week schedule up and running smoothly. So thanks for listening, and thanks for supporting if you choose to do it. It means more to me than I can ever tell you. So thanks again for listening to that, and if it's your birthday or watching this video, happy freaking birthday to you. Please remember to stay beautiful, and hopefully if some of your favourites didn't appear in the top 20 to 11, maybe some of them will appear in the top 10, and then we can have a good old chat about it. Or not. I don't know. I'll be seeing you in the next part, okay?
Subscribe.